let's go ahead and get started. As she mentioned, I'm co-founder of Bold Commerce, and just for a quick bit of context, we power around 20,000 subscription brands. So we have a lot of data, a lot of insights into what works, what doesn't, and the goal of this is actually to give you all some insight into some of the things that we're seeing really working right now. So and the topic is unlocking a major psychological reason people make decisions, and layering that into buying decisions. So I think it's important to understand where we are today, because subscriptions are changing so fast. Every year, it's different. Like, if you go back 10 years ago, just to 2013, if you had subscriptions, you were winning. If you had a subscribe and save model, you were better than probably 95% of your competitors. Just simply the subscribe and save option was a competitive advantage. That's not a competitive advantage today. I would say subscriptions are table stakes. If I shop somewhere and if they don't have a subscription option, I'll just go somewhere where they do. For me, it's a billing and it's a shipping decision. So having subscriptions is not an advantage at all. And actually, these are some of the headlines we're seeing. I can see down here. A third of global customers have canceled a current subscription in the last month. Kearney reported, or they're calling it the subscription apocalypse. Half of subscribers want to reduce their subscription exposure, and overall 40% of consumers think they have too many subscriptions. 32% feel overwhelmed by the number of subscriptions they have. Probably people in this room right now could name a couple subscriptions that they've been meaning to cancel, but they haven't. And so this is the headlines, but yet at the same time, subscription businesses are booming. I mean, we saw Paul on stage yesterday say they're projecting it to be $1 trillion. I can't remember by which year. 95% of Americans have either a digital or a physical subscription. So the subscription business industry as a whole is doing well, but you saw those previous slides, there are a lot that aren't. And so what's the difference? How do we balance that out? And the difference is, sorry, I didn't go through the numbers on this, but I can't go back. Anyways, there was a bunch of stats I didn't read there, but you get the point. The difference is, sorry, there's a bit of a delay. Let's go. Okay. Compounded annual growth rate, 65.5%. That's the projected subscription industry growth in the next 5 years. Top 5 Fortune 500 companies embrace subscription, and most Americans already have a subscription model. And the difference is there is a shift from just subscription to membership. And so the ones that are winning, they're really embracing membership. And just to set the stage a little bit, membership and subscription are similar, but they're also very different. A subscription is something that gives customers access to a product or a service. A membership is belonging. It's being a member of something. And so membership is a relational concept. It says nothing about price. Usually a membership has a price, but I consider myself a member because of my father-in-law of the Minnesota Vikings. Sorry, since I'm not Vikings fans here. People put onesies of their favorite team on their baby when they're born, but they don't pay to be a member of it. So you don't have to pay to be a member, but a lot of people are members of something. And then a subscription is a financial concept. Probably none of you have a relationship with your electrical company, but yet you subscribe to pay the electrical bill. So they're different. They're not the same, but often they do overlap. And so, actually, I'll buy someone a drink if they can tell me what's happening in this picture with this woman right here. Returning a product? It's a good guess. No? Any other guesses? No? Good guess? No, she's being asked this question. Would you like to join our free loyalty program? And who's been this person? Like everybody. Like you can't take 60 seconds to join a free loyalty program, right? Why? It makes no sense. And then even if it literally takes seconds, you still can't take that time. But at the same time, almost everybody in this room, I guarantee, pays for a membership. Almost 65% of Americans are subscribed to Amazon Prime. That's 168 million. Let's go up here. There we go, 63 million. Most people pay for a Costco membership. So it's not weird to pay for a membership, but at the same time, when someone offers you a free one, you can't be bothered. And so what is the difference? Well, the difference is it's not just a shift to membership. It's a shift to paid membership, and it's very, very different, and understanding the nuances there. And so it's paid membership is customers want to pay. Almost half of the customers shopping on your store, if they have a good relationship with you, want to pay for benefits. They want to pay for benefits with brands they love. And it's actually even higher among younger shoppers. So if you're not giving them away to pay for enhanced benefits, you're just straight up missing out. And the data, paid membership hasn't really been around for a long time. Some of the early brands that adopted it were probably 2016, 2017. Now it's starting to pick up, but a lot of the data now is in. Paid members, this is paid members versus non-paid members. So still loyalty members. This isn't paid members against like completely non-customers. So paid members, they buy 43% more often, 59% higher brand affinity. And brand affinity is really important. Brand affinity is, it removes, when you have high brand affinity, you have less price sensitivity. So think about Amazon Prime is a great example. People have really high brand affinity because they pay for their Prime membership. They know they're going to get it in 2 days. They know they have one-click hassle-free returns. When you're shopping on Amazon, you don't generally price compare. Even though Amazon is almost never the cheapest. I would challenge anyone, like I bought a cordless phone the other day, and on Amazon it was $199. And just for the heck of it, I looked on Best Buy. The same phone was $129. So like not even close. I buy Lego all the time for my kids, and I no longer buy it off Amazon because it's like half the price at Walmart. It's just, but I never compare price because I have really high brand affinity with Amazon because of the paid membership. And paid members buy more too. So they're much, much more valuable customers. And so it's one of those things where it's good for brands and it's good for customers. I'll put this up. I won't go through every single point on here. You can take a picture of it if you want. But there are very few models that are truly good for both customers and members. Customers want, I prefer to be a member somewhere. It's why you prefer to be a member at a hotel, or because they know you better, they have better data on you. Brands love it because, quite frankly, members spend more. For brands that sell membership, over half of the customers spend 400% more than non-members. So they're just more valuable customers. So the reason why we're here is Costco started this 25 years ago. When Amazon does something, it becomes, it's called the Amazon effect. So like when Amazon offers 2-day free shipping, and then you go to another website and they don't offer 2-day free shipping, you're mad. And so Amazon offers the ability to pay for free shipping. And so Amazon made it expected table stakes. And now every brand, the major brands, are starting to roll out paid membership. But the good news is, does everyone know the innovation bell curve? This is the way that technology is adopted. So if you think about like electric cars, the earliest people, they call them innovators, and then there's early adopters, and then there's the early majority, late majority, and then laggards. So for electric cars, we're probably in the early majority somewhere now. So there's a membership innovation bell curve. And on every bell curve, there's what's considered a tipping point. And the tipping point is, once you hit that point, whatever it is, that technology is adopted. It's considered, it's no longer early, it's going to be a thing. So that's where the tipping point is. Here's where paid membership is. So we know this because 63% of Americans, I think it's actually higher now, this stat is a little bit older, but pay for a paid membership. So we're well past the early adopters stage. So paid membership as a concept is in the late majority stage of the innovation bell curve, but here's what's crazy. If you go online, just think, someone name a store you shopped at, or just think of one in your head. And think if they have a membership program. They probably don't, because less than 5% of online stores have a paid membership program. So that difference there is the opportunity. So you have, and this is a moment in time. In 5 years, this won't exist, but you have a time where the majority of Americans, it's not weird to pay for a membership. If I said to someone like, oh, pay for a membership, it's not a new concept, it's adopted. Paid membership is a thing. But less than 5% of e-commerce brands offer a paid membership. So if you do it and you do it well, it's a huge opportunity right now to take advantage of that. The gap between what the number of people willing to subscribe to a paid membership and the number of paid memberships available simply will never be this way. Every year that gap is going to close and get smaller and smaller. And so I see it as two massive opportunities. The first one is most brands simply aren't doing membership. So if you do a membership well, you stand out. And the ones that are doing it, they're not really doing it right. They might just offer membership, and because you're a member, you maybe just also get like discounts on products, or they're very simple memberships. And so there's just a massive opportunity on both levels. And so what does membership look like? I'll just show 3 quick examples, then I'm gonna get into like how to do it right. These are some of the brands that we work with. So, you know, Kenko is a simple subscription for smoothies, but they make sure that members always get they get extra products every month, they get gifts at Christmas, they get different smoothies at Valentine's or whatever the holiday is. Pharrell Williams has a Human Race, it's a skincare line, but you have to be a member when he drops his shoes and clothing. You have to be a member to get access to his clothing before anyone else. So that's one way a membership could look. Fabletics does it a little bit different. They are a blend between, they have a product subscription, but they also have a bunch of other benefits, but one unique thing about them is they have member credits. And so when you pay for your monthly membership, every month you get 2 credits or 3 credits. The credits are worth a certain amount. So that's one example. And then the third example, Restoration Hardware. This is the company I would consider them a pioneer. They started theirs in 2016, and they're a furniture company. And so when you pay $175 a year, and that unlocks 25% off everything on the site, plus when they have a sale, members get extra savings, you get access to interior designers, you get access to some products that other members or non-members don't have access to. And they're a publicly traded company, and so I looked up, this was last year, the results aren't out this year, but as of last year, 95% of their revenue came from just 400,000 members. It's mind-blowing. And the $175 a year, they actually don't care about that $175, but they care about the effect that it has on the buying behavior of their customers. So I'm a Restoration Hardware member. My wife loves it. Every time we buy furniture, we look there first because we're like, we're paying for this membership. We might as well look there first. And so it works. We spend way more there because of that paid membership. So a lot of people think of subscription in, I'm a curation, I'm a box company, or I just sell a specific thing like coffee or deodorant, and they get that product. This is how we've thought about it for years, bucketing them into different categories, and this is how it breaks down by the different categories. But to do membership properly, you have to think of yourself as a subscription value stack. And so what we tell brands, actually we looked a couple years ago at all the brands using our software, and we kind of took out like the top 100, and we thought, well, what are these brands doing different? Why are they growing so fast? What we actually discovered was the brands growing the fastest and doing the best all had an aspect of each. They weren't a access subscription or a replenishment. They all had an aspect of each component in their subscription. And so this is what it looks like. You have to have, there's different things you can offer under each category, but you have to have a component of each. And the fourth one is the value needs to always increase. What got your customer in isn't what's going to keep them. If you think about Amazon Prime, you signed up because for the free shipping, but then they got layered in Prime Video, Prime Photo Storage, Prime Movies, one-click hassle-free returns. It's like every year there's a new benefit that keeps you. So whatever it is, those benefits need to keep increasing, and they don't have to cost you money either. A lot of times it can be a partner benefit because you're a member. Now we have an exclusive benefit with this brand that's going to give you 20% off, and they just want access to your subscribers. So it's not that ever increasing needs to cost more to your bottom line. It's just more value to the customer. And I think one thing I always ask brands is I say, what do your customers get when they get your subscription? And if they tell me, well, they get my product, I'm like, well, what else? Well, they get it at like 10% off every month. And I can say like, well, you're pretty much gonna go out of business. I don't know when, but you will. Because every single person gets subscription fatigue, no matter what. Even if they love your product, they will go away on vacation for a couple of months and it stacks up. Or maybe they get gifted your coffee and someone else buys them coffee for Christmas and now they've got too much on their shelf. No matter what, they will get tired of your product. If it's only about your product, you're pretty much done. And so what they need to get is that whole value stack. So if you sell subscription coffee, do they get access to better prices, products before other people? Do they get content? Is there once a quarter like a Zoom call where you can have coffee with the head roaster and talk about the beans and how it's made? Do they get, maybe you're like a health and wellness coffee? Do they get discounts at yoga centers or gyms, or whatever it is? Then when I think, if I have all this other value that I'm getting and I have a couple extra bags of coffee built up, I'm not gonna right away, I need to cancel the subscription because then I lose everything else. So 3-to-1 is a good ratio of value for what they pay. So if your subscription is $29, the perceived value that a customer is getting should be around $90. Perceived is the key word there, because if they don't understand the value, then it's worthless. And so making sure they know about the benefits, making sure they know they have access to things, reminding them. The best place to do that, by the way, is on the order thank you page. Just a great example of that is Charity Water. They're a subscription company. They sell a donation on subscription. You sign up, you pay for the subscription. On the thank you page is a video from the CEO talking about how many wells are being dug around the world and clean water and lives it's affecting, but like, you just paid for the subscription. And then there's that message. But they know what they're doing. They know that they need to arm you with the knowledge, like you just paid it. They have to constantly remind you of the value. That's why every month you get updates on the lives it's changing and the effect it's having. If they don't do that, after a year, you were sold on it when you bought it, but if you don't perceive that value ongoing, you'll churn. So 3-to-1 is a good ratio of perceived value to what the customer's paying to have really high retention. And so the second point where I say it's a really good opportunity is because a lot of brands aren't doing subscription. And then the ones that are doing it, they aren't really doing it right. And so what do I mean by that? It's funny, I was like 2 talks yesterday and Delta came up. I think, what did Chris George say? He only flies Delta. So I'll continue the trend of using airlines as an example. I love Delta too. I collect Sky Miles, but I didn't actually fly Delta here. It didn't come at the time I wanted. I wanted to come in on Tuesday night and there wasn't a Delta flight, so I booked Air Canada. So now imagine I paid for a Delta membership and I paid $1,000 a month, or my company paid $1,000 a month, and I could fly anywhere in the US with Delta. Now if I book that flight with a different airline, I actually feel like I'm losing money versus I just didn't earn my points with Delta. I earn air miles with Air Canada, so I don't really care either way. I earn points with every airline. But the effect, if I had paid $1,000 a month and now I book somewhere else, completely different effect on my buying decision. And that's the difference between free loyalty versus paid. If it's not paid, you know the saying, like, if something doesn't cost something, it has no value. There has to be that payment, and what that is called sunk cost. And has anyone heard the sunk cost fallacy? I think that's pretty common. I mean, it might be new for some, but sunk cost is that the definition is the phenomenon where a person is reluctant to abandon a course of action because they have invested in it, even when it's clear that abandonment would be beneficial. So we're suckers for sunk cost. Everybody is affected by it. As soon as you invest time or money or energy into something, you feel like you have to go through with it because you've paid for it. And so it's the reason a lot of people's closets look like this. Did you know the average American only wears less than 20% of the clothes in their closet? The other 80% is there because of sunk cost. You paid for it, you bought it, you're like, I'm not gonna throw it away. But if you were like teleported into your room and you just went through your closet and said, which clothes do you want? You wouldn't keep half of them. You wouldn't keep 80% of them. It's the reason we overeat expensive meals, because you paid for it, you feel like you gotta finish it. It's a bit of a sensitive one, but it's the reason some people stay together too long, because they've been together for 20 years, and why break up now? Sorry if anyone's in that situation. It's the reason we feel like we have to finish watching a bad movie because we paid for it. But if you get up and leave the theater in the middle of the movie, you feel like you're losing your money, but you're not, but it's sunk cost. It's the reason bad products get shipped. And actually this, like at Bold, this has come up, like we've built products, apps, different things, and like spent a year building it, and then a new opportunity comes, and the exact discussion in the boardroom is like, well, we can't scrap this, we spent a year building it. But that's not a good way to make a decision. That should have no weight on it, but it does. Sunk cost has a huge weight on it. And then, most importantly, it is the reason people will make buying decisions. So sunk cost affects all kinds of areas in your life, but it affects the way people buy. And almost nobody, it's hard to think of a brand, I do know a couple, I'm going to show you examples, but almost no brands leverage sunk cost. They leverage FOMO, like fear of missing out. They leverage urgency. They leverage, I don't know what the term is, but like you want to look like someone, or status, or social. So there's all kinds of psychological reasons people make decisions, and brands are excellent at it. Like, you go on a site, only 3 left, a countdown timer, you're going to miss out, or there's a shoe drop, and there's only 100 of them. But no one's leveraging sunk cost. Very few. So it's a huge opportunity in that sense. And so everyone is susceptible to it, and almost nobody is leveraging it. Actually, I was thinking about SubSummit. What if everybody here had to pay $100 to get a $500 credit towards next year for SubSummit, and then like it's a pretty good deal, but then they almost guarantee that person's going to buy a ticket next year because they've got a $500 credit. Not just like if SubSummit just said to you all, because you're here, you get a $500 credit next year. That may or may not affect your decision to come back this year. But if there was an offer that said, for anyone who pays $100 right now, they're going to get a $500 credit, I'd probably pay it. And then next year, I would feel like I want to book it because I paid that $500. It's very, very different effect. And so here's actually I had this exact conversation with a brand about 2 weeks ago. They have a membership program, and they were offering their clothing company, I think they were like $150 a month. They have a subscription, but they also were offering customers, it was more than 25%. They were offering customers like 60% off the regular price for members. But he said like nobody's buying it. And he said, yeah, my membership isn't really working. We offer 60% off, but people don't really use it. I said, well, what if instead of offering 60% off, every month you gave customers a $100 shopping credit? Like, which are you more likely to use? That's sunk cost. It's June 1st today, but yesterday this example would have worked. If it's May 31st, and if I haven't used my $100 credit, I'm gonna like go online midnight and use my credit, because if I don't use it, I lose it. Versus, if I don't get my discount, I don't get my discount. Very different effect on the buying behavior. So sunk cost comes in a lot of different forms. Starbucks actually has sunk cost in a really neat way. So when you think of the Starbucks card, or their app, however you're paying, you can preload it with money. There's a lot of benefits. Starbucks actually has billions of dollars loaded on there that they have invested, and they're making money, so there's a lot of benefits to Starbucks for that money. But sunk cost is actually a huge benefit, because once that money's on there, the amount that customers spend about 60% more when they're paying with a preloaded card versus when they're just paying with their credit card. And because they've already spent the money's sunk. So and remember back that slide where we talked about brand affinity, removing price sensitivity? It's removed price sensitivity. And so you don't have to tell your customer, just load up a card. You could actually reward them for it. If you know that customers who pay with a preloaded credit of some sort spend 60% more, why not give them like a free coffee every time they load up their card $25? Because I know that I'm going to get 3x the reward of that coffee, so load up your card, $25, get a free coffee. I think that's a really good deal as a customer. But they know the numbers. They know that next time I come in, I'm going to spend a lot more. I'm going to pick up the tab for everyone. Put it on my Starbucks card. So that's sunk cost too. Spotify has sunk cost. Spotify, once you've used it for a period of time, it knows your tastes. It knows what type of music. You start getting automated, curated playlists. And so and that's one of the biggest reasons I actually stay with Spotify. I have an Apple Music subscription, but I don't really use it because it doesn't have, I just open Spotify and the music I want is there. And so that's sunk cost. It's time, but it's sunk. And so I don't know where we are for, oh yeah, I'm right back on time, perfect, okay. Final thoughts, I'll end on this, is if you're a brand and you're thinking, well, how can I implement this? There's a few points here. One is simply having paid loyalty introduces sunk cost. That's the entry level. If you have paid loyalty, you can have both. You can have free and you can have paid. I would make your paid loyalty more rewarding for customers. That adds it. Think about having gratification upfront. We live in a world of instant gratification. You can play music on demand, watch a movie on demand. So don't make your customers wait a year and earn points. Let them pay. And remember, 43% of customers want to pay for instant gratification. Consider credit versus discount. There's different ways you can do that. But if there's any possible way you can give your customers credit each month instead of a discount, do that. Give rewards and offers that if they don't use, they lose. That's really important. And the last one is anything you can build into your store that is momentum. So think about, when you use an app and it says, oh, your daily streak, you've logged into this app 3 days in a row. You actually care about that streak. If you use Mindfulness app or Calm, they have a streak, and that's because that's sunk cost. That's why people keep posting on Snapchat because, man, I don't want to lose my 900-day streak. Or progress bars. If they have to do things on your site to unlock a progress bar where it's okay, you've spent this much. Now you're a gold member, or you become, that's why they all have different statuses and names for these memberships. So let that customer know they're moving along. Sometimes momentum is just letting the brand know more about you. So one of those questionnaires where if you sell food, maybe you fill out a flavor profile. It's I like salty instead of sweet. I like cold instead of hot, and I'm sinking my time into it. That's momentum as well too. So anything that builds momentum is also another way to introduce sunk cost. So the last thing, I guess, if Neil said this really well yesterday when you're at all the talks, there's 4 questions you should ask yourself. One of them was, what can I take away from this? Is think about your store, think about your products. Is there any sunk cost that you have or can add? And what's your sunk cost strategy? So if you take nothing away from this, but if you have some type of sunk cost that you can add into your membership program, it'll make a massive impact on your bottom line.